Sabaidi Pinang. I'll show you how to make Gang Nor Mai in 3 easy steps. That includes prepping, Yanang Extract, and our sticky rice thickener, and then we're going to bring it all together into this earthy, delicious stew. But first, let's do a quick rundown of all the ingredients that you'll need to make this dish. Bamboo is a main ingredient to this dish. I recommend using fresh bamboo. You can use tips or shoots. And if you don't use fresh, you always have the option of using canned or pre-packaged bamboo like you see here. Our protein is 1-inch pork rib and canned quail eggs. You could use fresh eggs. And I use a variety of mushrooms like the rehydrated wood ear, beach mushroom, the oyster mushroom, and the enoki mushroom. My favorite ingredient is the kabocha squash. It has a really spicy fall flavor. We're gonna also add the rice patty herb to our dish. Additionally, we'll use kefir lime leaves, lemongrass, Thai pepper, galanga root, shallot, badak, salt, table sugar, the chicken bouillon powder, and our yanang leaves. This is what we'll use to get extract. You can buy this in the frozen section of the grocery store. You can buy it fresh, and there's also a canned variety. I do think making your own extract is much better. And then finally, we'll need sticky rice, and this is where the recipe begins. Add sticky rice to a bowl and submerge fully with about 1 cup water, and then allow that to sit for about an hour. Now we will begin step 1, which is prep. We will need to boil our bamboo, so add a pot of water to the stovetop and bring that to a boil. While that's coming to a boil, let's go ahead and cut our bamboo. For the larger tips, I like to slice those in long, thin strips. And for the shoots, I use my knife to just mash those down. I'll cut those in half so that they're smaller pieces. Then for the smaller tips, I'll cut those down to a small size and then quarter those. And using the 3 different cutting methods will give me a variety of texture in the soup. So we're gonna bring those bamboos to our pot and add them to the boiling water and cook those for about 30 to 40 minutes. Once cooked, we can go ahead and remove those, shaking off any excess moisture, putting them in a dish and setting aside. Next up, we need to boil our protein. So again, add a pot of water, bring it to high heat, and then once boiled, drop in your pork ribs and cook these down until they are fall off the bone tender. Then you can remove those, shaking off excess water and setting aside. And then our final ingredient that we need to pre-boil is our squash. I like to use the julienne peeler to get most of the flesh off, but to leave a little bit for a little additional crunch. Then I chop these down into small 1-inch bite-sized sections. Then once they're the desired size, I add them to my boiling water. These do boil rather quick, probably in about 10 minutes. They'll be a texture that you can break off a chunk very easily, and that's when you know they're ready. Remove those from the pot and set aside. Next, we will prep our mushrooms. First, by cutting off the hard, stemmy bottoms of all the mushrooms, and then we'll add those to a strainer so that we can wash those very, very thoroughly. And what you're going to notice is that mushrooms are very dirty, so we'll have to go through the wash process several times. What I do is submerge all of my mushrooms in cold water, agitate those, and then remove the water and just repeat this process about 4 or 5 times, then allow my mushrooms to drain. We're also going to drain and rinse the eggs from the can and set those aside. And then we'll prep our rice patty herb also by washing that very, very thoroughly and then cutting those into small strips. So you could choose to do 1-inch or you could do larger strips. That's really your preference. And then we'll also set that rice patty herb aside. With prep complete, let's go to step 2. I add a full bag of yanang leaves to my Ninja blender, and then add enough water to fill it all the way to the top. I'll place the lid on and give that a really good blend. Now don't be afraid that you're going to over blend it. That's impossible. Blend it as long as it takes to make that liquid really pull from the leaves. Then add it to a sieve and then mash that down to get as much of the extract out of the leaves as you can. And then place your leaves back in your blender. Again, add with water, and using the same leaves, we're gonna repeat this process about 5 times, or until the green liquid starts to get very light in color. And this is the Yanang extract that we'll use for the base of our soup. And now step 3, making our sticky rice thickener. Add your sticky rice that you soaked along with the water you soaked it in into the Ninja blender with Thai pepper and shallots, which we'll quarter so that they blend more easily. We'll slice our lemongrass as thinly as possible, again so it blends very easily. Then we'll add that lemongrass to our Ninja blender, pop on the lid, and we're going to blend that down. Again, don't be shy to blend this for quite a while. We want it to be a really runny, very well blended paste. Finally, we can bring all of these beautiful prepped ingredients together, and we're going to do that in a large pot. First, add your Yanang extract to that large pot. Place it on high heat so that we can bring that to a boil. Add our chicken bouillon, our sugar, our badak, and our salt to the pot, along with our galanga, Thai pepper, kefir, lime leaf. And then once at a rolling boil, add the pork, bamboo, mushrooms, and squash. Now, once you get these ingredients in here, if it looks like you don't have enough liquid, don't panic just yet. The mushrooms still need to cook down. And then once they do, you'll realize we do need that sticky rice thickener to make our broth go from thin to a thicker, almost gel-like consistency. Get that stirred in really well, allow it to boil, and then gently place in our quail eggs. Give that another gentle stir, and then once we feel like our sauce is as thick as we want it to be, the very last ingredient we add is our rice patty herb. In total, from the time I put the Yanang extract into the pot to the time that we are ready to reduce it to simmer with our rice patty herb, I would say was only about 30 minutes. Us pre-boiling a lot of our ingredients up front really cut down on the cook time in the pot. And you can see that this dish is delicious. It's so earthy and flavorful. I love to eat this with sticky rice. I really hope that you try this recipe and that you enjoy it. You can find the full list of ingredients and all the measurements in the description box below the video. And please consider being a subscriber. Your support helps me to keep cooking. Thank you for watching. Cup chai.